ככה בונים.
So of course we're going to do this in English because we're filming it. This goes on the YouTube of Startup Grind. I'll tell you a little bit more about Startup Grind soon. Does anybody have a problem with English? Nobody, so I don't need to translate. Oh, okay. Good for you. So
just problem, they haven't understood what you said. So.
Oh yeah. So Startup Grind is the world's largest and leading community of entrepreneurs. We are located in over 125 countries, more than 600 chapters, and almost 4 million entrepreneurs worldwide who took part of our activities, global activities. Just so you know, next month we're going to hold a summer party. Everybody's invited, okay? It's almost free of charge. Just a small token of appreciation for you guys, so we can pay for the beer, okay? But mostly I'm just going to tell you about our values before I introduce you guys, okay? So it's give first, make friends, and think about others, right? Before you think about yourself. I got it? All three? There you go. Okay, so we are all volunteers, and all we do is help entrepreneurs, connect entrepreneurs, educate entrepreneurs, inspire entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I'm going to invite you guys to introduce yourself, all right? So, Etai, you talk first.
Sure. So, everyone, I'm Etai Hochman. I'm currently the co-founder and the CTO of Mirato. Before that, co-founder and CTO of Etai. Aligning the risk management and cyber markets, I'll say. Doing lots of stuff here, and happy to be here.
Okay, Yoni, Avital. I'm the COO, one of the co-founders in a company called ControlUp. We're dealing with monitoring user experience, like for enterprise employees, making sure their apps are working fine, and if not, fix the issues. Happy to be here as well. Thanks for inviting us.
So, I don't care who starts, whoever wants to do that first, but tell us about your background from your childhood and what drove you to become an entrepreneur in the first place.
I'll start. Okay, so actually, probably you won't hear any kid telling this today, but the first time I really played with computers was just after the army. So I wasn't your typical computer nerd or programmer. I did, the regular high school, army, and whatnot.
I'll cover that.
Yeah, yeah, there is at least one typecast. But I was into, like, after the army, one of my friends, he went to New York, like he wanted to be a millionaire in New York, very classic for the time. He came back, listen, I heard about this thing, you can learn something, you can be a Microsoft system engineer in like a few months and get a job in high tech, and it's amazing. I'm like, okay, let's try that. We did that. We both became like system engineers in companies providing services. That's how I got into the high tech industry, the video industry. And to make a long story short for that, after a few years, I actually managed a team providing IT services for companies, right? Think about Teva, Tzim, the Maccabi, all the big enterprises in Israel. We were providing services for them, and we needed to fix issues, and we had the very right time because we found that all the existing tools we were trying to use were pretty crappy, if I can be polite, right? So we said, let's do something ourselves, which I think is always a good start. If you want to fix a problem that you're actually facing, that's always a good start for becoming to start something, right? Because you know the problem yourself firsthand. For us, we actually created the solution for ourselves. It worked really fine, and maybe later I'll tell you what happened with that. But that was my intro into the world of high tech.
So
computer nerd.
I'm the computer nerd. Yeah, obviously. I've actually started. I was always into computer and math since I was like 6 or 7 years old. I was coding and doing everything I can do myself. I think it all came together when I was like 13 or 14. I started learning at the university. At Bar-Ilan University was just the right thing to do because I got bored at school. I've managed to do my bachelor's degree even before enlisting to the army, so I finished my math bachelor's degree, almost finished my master's at the same time, but couldn't nail the last one. And then I've enlisted to the army. I spent almost 6 years at the Prime Minister office, one of the elite units, and did a lot of cool cyber things. And a lot of what we did there is taking me, still today on how you manage risk and how you can counter the things that is being done as part of military actions.
And what was the first thing you've ever built? You say you computed it, so you probably built stuff when you were like, what, 15?
I think the first thing was a piano on my computer. That was I think I was like 10 years old or something like that. We managed to tap into there was still like the MIDI speakers, those very not good ones, and we kind of made a piano out of that. We had to find the sinuses and how you can get all the notes right. That was cool. I was not the ordinary thing. That was fun. I think that was the first thing that I can remember I built, on my own.
And just so I'll go forward a little bit, you had a great entrepreneurial journey. I'm going to come back to you as well on that.
Not a problem.
But tell us about the company you've built before, Mirato, and tell us about what got you to Mirato.
So, I think, I've always been an entrepreneur. That was my second favorite thing after math and computers. So, my entire family are entrepreneurs, mostly in real estate, by the way, and I'm the black sheep of the family.
I wouldn't say that.
Look, it's either black or white if they're all doing one thing and I'm the other.
Okay.
Even during my service, I did a lot of things that are unique. I push towards new solutions and innovative solutions. Always did that. So when I finished that tenure, me and my co-founders there, we found out that there's a huge problem in the cyberspace where you just cannot quantify the loss of a real breach. You just cannot do that. And what happens today is that, in every market that involves risks, you get to a point where you try to eliminate or avoid or react to risk. You're doing the 80% there, and then you transfer the risk out. That's insurance. So you can see it in car insurance, right? You're doing the best you can. You get an immobilizer, you make sure that your car is being tested, everything, but there is that worst case and you have to have insurance for that. You wouldn't drive your car without insurance. So when we got to that understanding that there's only up to a point where you can do where the ROI is positive for your actions to reduce the cyber risk, then you have to do the transfer. You have to understand how to quantify the risk. What should I get for me, committing to pay for a ransomware or pay for the case where your business was interrupted, you're not selling, you're losing money, you're bleeding money. What can you do with that? So when we got that, we started building really cool models of how you can quantify that risk based on a lot of incidents that we've seen from our joint experiences, as the founders of the company, and also based on some sophisticated machine learnings that we built specifically for that. With that, we built Etai, and Etai is actually today a almost real insurance company. It's what they call an MGU, a Managed General Underwriter. We do everything up until the point where we don't have the money that is covering the cost is not ours. That comes from Yoni, which is the best reinsurer in the world, which is pretty great. So that's for Etai, and after doing Etai and growing that company and starting scale, I'm more of a small teams kind of guy. I like the new things. I like
Buildings.
I like building stuff. So I wanted to do something else, and I took a lot of the knowledge and the experience of what we did with Etai, and we've built a generic system that does risk assessments automatically. It gets data from tons of data sources, and it transforms that data into insight with context. So risk managers today spend a ton of time, 90% of the time, administering data, collecting one bit from here, one bit from there, trying to fuse it all together, doing errors in the meantime, and and getting to mitigations. Our platform does all of that and getting you to the point where you got, okay, I have a problem, this is the problem, and these are suggestions on how to fix that problem. So we're working with tier 1 banks. We've just finalized our seed investment, and American Express has joined the team. That's a huge vote of confidence for us.
Absolutely. Yoni, you want to tell us about your journey?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
It's
So,
actually interesting. No, don't
yeah,
make it.
yeah, no, it's try to keep it simple. It is pretty simple. You know, in the end, if you can describe it as a simple way, it means it's not probably not a good idea. So, for us,
Einstein.
yeah, true. So, you know, for us, our customers are mainly the IT departments. That, you know, any company, especially the larger one. Imagine you're an IT administrator. You're supporting, you know, 2,000 end users, right? So employees, just like anyone here. Imagine that it's whatever Monday morning, and now calls are starting to gather at the help. They're saying everything is slow. Okay, I'm trying to log in. I'm trying to open something, Outlook, whatever, browsing. It's all slow. Before ControlUp, before we developed our software and obviously enhanced it, if you're an IT admin supporting 2,000 end users on a rather complicated enterprise, it's really hard to understand what's causing the issue. Now, we had to do it manually as the actual guy trying to help these teams. With ControlUp, we enabled them to see everything in a single screen and really quickly drill down and understand what's the root cause. Again, we've seen some interesting things, right? So, just a few notable examples. We see that everyone is working nicely, playing on their Excel spreadsheets or whatnot, and there's one dude watching a 4K trailer on YouTube. And he's doing it on the company internet line, you know, on the storage, and he's causing the issue. So 2,000 endpoints, right? 2,000 end users, one guy watching the 4K trailer is causing the issue. And with ControlUp, you can see that in like, whatever, 5 seconds, and then, you know, sending, either you're polite and sending a message, hey, you're not, you know, running an enterprise app, please close it, or be more aggressive, just, you know, crash the whole thing. And that's the value, that's ControlUp, and that's how we started. We quickly realized, fortunately for us, that it's needed in almost any IT department managing end users. So we started to grow. Back in 2014, we raised the first funding round. The market has really changed, right? Back then, it was a round day, like $3 million. Today, people with just a note get like 6 million, right, for a seed investment. So things have changed a lot. We had to really work hard for that A round, and we had customers, we had like a run rate and everything. So since then, like 6-7 years, we've been growing the company. I told you like earlier that we are nearing like 300 employees, almost 1,500 customers worldwide. It's really great to see the growth. I will tell that, and it's interesting what you have seen, but like the COVID crisis, right, COVID crisis has really accelerated everything, right? So companies, initially like back in March, April 2020, we were all doing these, okay, how many people I have to cut down? How do I'm going to cut my budget in like 50%. Like 2 months later, we have seen that things are almost the opposite. Companies are spending money to support people working from home, and a product like us actually became more needed because now we're not supporting 2,000 end users working in the office. Someone told me it's like you're managing 2,000 offices. Mm-hmm. Like this office in Rishon, in whatever, his office in Etai, and now you have to still see everything, what's causing issues, but on a much larger scale, and luckily for us, it's working great. So.
You talked about COVID, and that was going to be my next. How is it like to manage? I mean, you guys are a little bit more established than Etai's Mirato, but how can you actually manage a startup company without meeting with? And you said the core team is so important, right? Mm-hmm. So, what was it like? Was it so challenging, like I hear?
Actually, I think that, you know, one of the things people do really good is adapt. And we found that we're actually even more productive. Because if before that we were spending 3 hours a day on the roads in our cars, we don't do that anymore. Those are 3 hours that I can use better to work more efficiently, not get stressed to work because roads are practically hell. And let's say I'm splitting time 50-50 now with work, and with my daughters. So for me, that's a huge win. We're doing a lot of Zoom activities. We're soliciting. We have created, for us the ability to solicit personal information about each other. So we know when each and everyone is down, when they're super excited about one thing that they do, we invest a lot of time in getting to understand, getting to know our team members. And because it's such a team, for us, it's a great team that is built on trust that comes not just on your day-to-day activities. It's not just that we trust each other to deliver, the features that we want them to do. We trust each other when we're down. I trust my team, to tell them, look, I'm not 100% today. I really have to lie down. I want to watch Netflix, whatever it is, and that's okay because we all trust each other to make sure that we're giving them more than 100%, and from that trust we can grow. I think this is the best thing we found in this last year. The way to form real trust.
I'll paint the picture not that pink. So what we found, that it won't surprise anyone here, especially if you have kids. So when COVID started, we had 200 employees. The math was very simple. If you don't have kids, you're way more productive in COVID time. No driving time.
For sure.
It's all great. You wake up at 9 a.m. You start working. It's all great. If you have 3 kids or 4 kids, especially younger ones, then productivity was not that great. It took people time to, even myself, right? I had only one kindergarten age kid at the time. And still it was pretty intense, but it took us a while to find out to manage it with my wife. She's also working, so we did shifts. I still get shivers when I remember the days where I'm like, okay, from 2 to 4 p.m. I'm with the kids, 4 to 6 I can work, and to see the look if I told her sorry, I need an hour, she was like, I'll get back to you. So it was different, right, depending on your status and everything, but overall I agree that, and I think the best evidence that it was not that bad is that right now, in Israel we can work every day. We are remaining with 2-3 days in the office, 2-3 days at home. It's working nice. People, can balance out better, I think. So one of the good things, hopefully, will come out of this is a better work-life balance, and the fact you don't need every day to drive and do the whole office thing, but you still have time for. I think nothing replaces face-to-face, right?
Definitely.
Zoom can help, but if you really want to, sometimes it's irreplaceable. So, yeah, I think overall, after the first few months, we learned to live with that, and it's fun.
One recommendation that I found super interesting and was really fun is that young kids can really break the ice in sales calls. I had a ton of meetings, and I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she was, opening the door by herself. It was ding, 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 ding. She was coming in and starting to shout, "Daddy, Daddy!" That breaks everything. Nobody can, resist that. It builds massive,
My daughter's been with me in a global conference. There's all the chapter directors from all over the world said, there's Mia. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So that's we actually, I actually a couple times actually coordinated her coming in. My wife, look, I need this now.
Beat your daughter.
That's a part of the deal. You have to use what you got when you're a small team.
We know how to do that with Israelis, obviously.
That's then it's not the next generation that we got here. It's the next generation. That's she's a part
3.0.
Yeah, she's a part of the business now.
So guys, we came to talk about technology, right? This is your stuff. It's not really my stuff, but it's your stuff. Let's look at the bird view. I mean, I think that we live in the best age ever. This technology has done so much. We just talked about Zoom and stuff like that. Think about what would have happened if we had COVID 15 years ago. I would have been crashing, right? So now we can say, what, it's actually a good thing. But let's talk about that in general. What do you think is the most important technological trend nowadays?
It's
Yeah,
a hard one.
how deep you want to go. I will start with
As
something
deep as
quite.
possible.
Yeah, so I'll start with something simple, which is not that new, but I think it's very important for young entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to do something. Not many people realize, but one of the big things that happened with the public cloud revolution, which is not that old, it's like 5 or 10 years when it's become a commodity, is that anyone here can probably try to run his software or code on a huge database server or crazy machine learning platform, just by paying a few dozen, like a few $100 tops, just to test something which is just not possible a few years ago. No, if you were wanting to test something, you had to buy tons of hardware, super expensive, or ask favors for someone working in a large company, and that's there. Something for us, we use that all the time, obviously today as well, but it's the difference, the distance between you and running something on super huge, crazy hardware and the most advanced machine learning algorithm that GCP or Amazon or Azure provides is very close. Just a few dozens of bucks and we're done. So that's a big thing we need to remember. I bet most of you are familiar with that, but that's one thing I would.
Absolutely. I'll actually enhance that and say that it's not just that. It's even you can sometimes, not consider performance. Just spin up another server. So my code is not great, but I can test it out with users. Even if it's not great, just let's put 2 or 3 more servers and a load balancer in front of them, and that's it. I'm done. That's easy, and time to market is key almost with everything. So when you can go to your users, test it out, you might get to scratch everything because it's not good, and it doesn't matter if your performance was great or not. So just giving you the ability to do that, giving you the ability to using scripting language, even Python, which is definitely not high performance, but it's super fast when you want to get to market. That's pretty amazing.
For sure. And another thing, which is again, it's more of a consumer type of advancement, but you said yourself that COVID was not that bad because you could all watch Netflix at the same time. This also means that, and again, something which wasn't possible 10 years ago, you can easily work remotely with, again, imagine a young entrepreneur, you want to develop something. Back then, you had to bring in a few developers, work with them in the office. Right now you can, again, if you have a POC, you can work with a few dudes in Belarus, right, or India, right, or China even, I guess. The language would be a bit the problem. But it's very cheap, it's very accessible to test something. You have an idea, great. Spend a few $100, maybe I'm exaggerating, and you can probably end up with a proven POC working, right? So that's, again, it's much easier these days. The hardware is there, available on the cloud. Developers are waiting all over the world. It's enough they have Zoom and a fast internet line, and that's it. They can work with you. So, yeah, it's really.
I thought you were gonna say zero trust as a concept for things like that, because that's actually one of the catalysts there. Yeah, you can work with just put Jump Cloud on your PC. You got one single identity. You can work with Google, GitHub. You can still keep all of your assets and intellectual property private and manage everything. That's huge. And before that, you had to get a computer. You had to have it in your lab, and get your image, printed on that, and so get your VPN spun up, and that's thousands of dollars, and get everything in your network on that network. That was really difficult. And today, you can get a company up and running with GitHub and GCP, and it's not just getting the ability to go fast to market. It's just getting the idea up and running. You've got all the infrastructure to do that. That's super fast.
Yeah. And by the way, on the same note, just like I said that hardware, awesome hardware with really advanced platforms are easily available and cheap if you're on small scale. Same is true for developers. It's also true, that's another thing which is true for the last 2, 3, 4 years, is that it's true for SaaS software as well. So back then, if I needed, I'm starting to sell, I need a CRM. I need a software where I can manage my sales. These days, I can pay even Salesforce, which is like best of breed. I have one sales guy, I need to pay a few dozens of bucks per month, and I'm good. I have a full, the highest end CRM system. You will pay later when you're getting bigger. That's the disadvantage, I'll tell you. You get hooked to all these public clouds and SaaS.
It's supposed to make money.
Yeah, they do. They
the
make a lot of money, but
strategy.
again, for like, you can today have a 5-employee company, very small budget, have the best hardware, the best software, CRM, GitHub, all
Yep.
the development platforms. They are very cheap, very accessible for small companies, and everyone can use them. Again, later they collect the bill, right? They're getting bigger, but it's a huge investment.
So, and what do you think is going to be trending in the next 5 years? You know, we look backwards now. Let's try to be prophets and look a little bit forward.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, one of the things that I'm seeing, one of the things that we are trying to tap into as Mirato, I think that tools that will augment people. You can see it with Superhuman, the email client. If you had the chance to look at that, it's brilliant. You can see that with Notion that we've talked about before. You can see that tools that are designed for people, that even enterprise products are, have B2C state of mind. They're effective, they're fast, their KPIs is milliseconds up until you get a response. Something that makes people more effective. I think that's the next big things. You'll utilize, deep learning and NLP for that. You will have a lot of deep learning again for vision purposes. I think that's one of the things that we'll see in, at least in our neighborhoods.
Right.
Yeah, no, so many things. I think that we're living in a very exciting time, and not a cliche. It's like every area you look at is under evolution, right? Uber is obviously an interesting example. Like you take a very legacy market, taxis, right? No tech, not what, but it was completely revolutionized. Maybe not here in Israel, but like it's totally revolutionized and just based on technology. The fact that you can quickly hire taxi drivers for anyone, and the app, it's just that, right? And it's happening on every industry. That's why I think, by the way, there are many people in the industry, tech right now, that are really fearing that we're in a bubble, right? Because the valuations are crazy. It's really easy to get some investments. The market is very high. But having said that, I think that what might prevent the bubble from exploding is that indeed there is a revolution waiting to happen in every market, right? See how you order food
Insurance.
these days.
Yeah,
Insurance.
as
Like
well, definitely.
everything we see here, like looking on everything we see is going to be revolutionized in the next 5-10 years. Wearables, it's a big promise. It hasn't started yet. 5G is going to explode. So everything is like, think about big data these days. It's not really big.
It's missed,
Because but think that once everything here will be submitting and transmitting data, obviously all the hardware, accessories, refrigerators, it's going to be crazy. So I think, hopefully I'm right, it's not really bubble because we still have all these legacy industries. A nice example, by the way, one of my friends, he started a startup that's actually providing laundry services and app, right? Kvisi, changed hands since then, but even this laundry, right? It's an app where you can just
By the way, this is huge in Germany.
yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, just an app to.
I don't know why. It's huge in Germany.
Because laundry is really annoying to do, right?
No, actually small apartments and
I was
high real
asked
estate
by
consumption for your washing machine. That's
I was asked by colleagues in Germany, look for great ideas in the area of laundry. I said, what?
Laundry? Yeah, so it's happening. I think it's exciting and great. Can't wait.
And let's talk a little bit about the bad side of technology. Not Elon Musk talking about, Terminator 2 kind of bad stuff, but what are the challenges that having such sophisticated digital technologies around you is making you guys, as guys, CTOs and
You like technology so much, you're saying
look at that. You're getting to a point where it's a bit philosophical, right? Is producing guns a problem, right? That's one never get into that discussion ever. But oh, sorry. So restate that. So there is a philosophical discussion here about guns. If it's good or bad, if it's the user of the gun or actually producing those guns. That's a philosophical one that I'll never get into, but it is there? So is there a bad side to technology? So is there a bad side to technology users? Having all of those things, the Terminator things, but gender bias with face recognition. There are problems there. I think that this is one of the biggest difficulties today on generating an appropriate, I'll say again, problematic word appropriate, but an appropriate data set to train your model, even with NLP, even with vision and face recognition, things like that. With autonomous cars, there's the meme where there's an autonomous car, there's an old lady and a baby. Which one will it run over? It's a huge problem. So I think that when tech gets very, very close to philosophy and ethics, that's a huge problem that I hope will be solved in the next, even if not solved, but we'll get closer to an understanding.
And in your startups, what is, if we drill down a little bit to the more practical stuff?
I'll tell you, it's affecting my company as well, but I think anyone here, one of the disadvantages, and that's, again, I'm not sure if because of the software out or because of us as humans, our weaknesses, but we are all addicted to smartphones, by far, right? If smartphone was a drug, we would have, taken it out of the law. I see my kids, right? Once you give them the phone, it's a matter of weeks and you're done, right? It's either take it away or they get lost in it. And it's affecting my company as well, because if you think about it, when was the last time we did an actual meeting with 5 or 10 people and all of them were actually concentrated and were able to exchange ideas? No way. Every minute, 10 seconds, someone is getting a push, someone is checking just because it's addictive, just like me. I'm not love that. And the ability to do an actual deep discussion and to get someone's attention, especially, by the way, in a small meeting is not that bad, but I'm quite a few times I'm doing well, at least before COVID, doing presentation at conferences. So we sit against 300 people in the crowd, 100 people, whatever.
70% are like that.
They came there, right? They came there, they're sitting there, and they can't avoid, right? They're just sitting and doing their addiction, just like all of us here, yeah? So that's a disadvantage. I'm not sure, I'm really waiting for the tech to fix that. I know that there are some apps like relaxing apps that just take quick using the phone for a second, though it's counterintuitive for all the tech world, but this is a huge problem which I'm really hoping we'll find a solution for it. Otherwise, I'm seeing people on the street just walking like this. I've seen someone getting crashed. So yeah, that's a big issue.
Neuralink will solve it. We'll just directly push it to your brain.
That's the next
no screen needed.
That's frightening stuff. My kid is 12. Right? 12. He told me yesterday, I just was playing with friends. He's describing this vivid thing, this really realistic, and I'm like, so what did you eat? How did you fed everyone 5 minutes? Oh no. It was all virtual. We played whatever Minecraft or whatever. So yeah, it's happening fast, and we need to do something because otherwise we deal with a bunch of robots.
Yeah, for sure. Now you remember, guys, that about what was it, 3 or 4 days ago we had a conference call preparing for this meetup, and I think 20 minutes out of the 30 minutes we talked, right, was about recruiting developers. And now it's becoming incredibly hard for startups. I think you were beating yourself up about that. So perhaps you'll start.
Yes, right? It's cool because I'm sure Etai has a lot to say about it. But basically what happened, which is it's a big issue for anyone trying to do something with developers, right? And it's not just in Israel, it's all over the place, but in Israel it's very aggressive. So what happened, if you think about it, in the last 2-3 years, so two major things happened. One, the giant tech companies came in, like Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft. Some of them have been for a while, and they created a very, big demand for developers, and they are able to pay very high salaries, excellent conditions, and at the same time, as I just said before, the markets reached a point where venture capitals and growth funds are pushing in a lot of money to lots of companies. So what's happening right now is you have, on the one side, all those tech giants looking for developers all the time, willing to pay a lot, and on the other side, a bunch of startups, like dozens, if not hundreds of startups, who have anything from 20 to $100 million in their bank accounts, and their VCs just telling them, what are you doing? You have money, go bring developers and build your product, right? So it created a huge demand, which was huge before that, but now it's not just huge demand, it's also tons of money aimed for one purpose, bringing in developers and using them to develop your shit. So I'm hearing crazy stories about people willing to pay ridiculous sums of money to anyone willing to work. It's ruining the business because it's creating a model which can't work, right? If you need to hire 10 developers and it's costing you millions of dollars, eventually you need to sell, right? You need to sell something, earn money. It's like the revenues versus expenses wouldn't make sense. So it won't last for long. This is a bubble for sure, like in the developer ecosystem. I'm not sure what will happen to fix that. I spoke with Etai about something which never happened in the tech industry. It's like, think about an Istadrut kind of like thing where you can start coordinating, hey, let's put a cap. It won't happen anytime soon, but it's a big issue, right? It's the demand is huge, lots of money out there. Even if you're able to hire someone,
very limited, obviously, so the price just
yeah,
go up.
and the thing is even if you manage to hire someone, and that's the last note of what I speak, but we have developers and some of them are close friends, they come telling me, hey, listen, I just have to tell you, I'm here like a year or two, every week, 2 headhunters hunt me down, they beg me to sit with them, they offer me everything, and I have to keep, pushing them back because I like the company, but at some point, if I tell my wife about the offer, she's like, what the hell are you doing? You have to move. It's really hard. Or the other way around, she tells her husband.
But before Etai is going to get into the mix, I work with a lot of agritech startups. That's what I do, Etai Startup Brand. And some of them told me, what, we have idealists sitting with us here as developers. There are none anymore. Like
no.
It's all about the buck. Like if somebody
if you have
put the smackers.
Some people, it's always like some proportion of the population will be more attracted to an idealist startup, a green company or whatever. That's fine, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And if you just happen to be a fintech, right, or enterprise software which is not that idealistic, it won't help. But you're right. It doesn't. The more you can differentiate yourself with some special thing, you might find those people who care more about that than just compensation, and that's fine. But it's not a solution for the vast majority of the industry.
Right? Guy, what's your opinion about that?
So if anyone knows any developers who want to work in Rishon, just send them my way.
Look, I think that there is a huge problem. I think that even if we'll consider that the supply wasn't limited a couple of years ago, so much money came into the market that it is limited now. Okay, we won't debate that. It is a problem. Having an ideal is great. The change that there's the difference between working in corporate or working in a startup, and the different experience that you can get is also super important for a lot of people. I think that as a young developer, not even an entrepreneur, even if you want to get into entrepreneurship, there is so much more that you can learn in a startup because you can lead your own projects, you can do things end to end, and you're not just one screw in a huge system. You own everything that you do. That's huge for startups. That's what we usually get to the people that we want to come work with us.
Still you have to pay.
And still, because all of the startups, and they're all like us, and there's so much money right now in there, and it's even a bit more than how you described it, VCs are demanding the startups to spend that money. There's stress behind it. You've got $10 million, you have to spend it, because they're expecting you to spend it. So that's really big. So we have seen compensation going up. We have seen that to the point where even equity is not enough, and even ownership and things like that are not enough because everybody can provide that. It's not a race between startups and enterprises anymore. I think that what we will see in the next few years is that startups will come with two types of innovation. One is their product, their offering, their deliverables, but also innovation in the form of how they're going to build the team. I can say that for us at Mirato, we have made a few decisions where we will only get very senior developers and engineers. That's for the starters. That's for the first few years of work. We had a long discussion about that. Our belief right now is that we can grow our offering so much faster with those people and with not getting juniors. And after we'll build a lot of trust in the team, this is when we will be able to grow with less experience, yet as quality is definitely as quality people as we have today, but just with less experience. So that's one thing that we've decided to do. We spend a lot of time as founders and as management of a company on finding or coming up with new ways to attract new talent, things on how to train more effectively so you can reduce the amount of experience that you need. That's definitely a part of our day-to-day, something that, from someone that it's not my first startup, I haven't had to spend so much time doing that in my previous enterprises. That's definitely a huge shift that I've experienced.
I think that if I describe the problem and I reinforce one of the solutions, so Etai is speaking about a smaller team of very senior developers, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. One of the solutions we are actually doing, not just testing, is we have like two small startups inside ControlUp, right? Companies not companies, but they're like small divisions, completely working independently, each doing his own project. And for them, and that's why I actually think COVID, the whole Corona thing actually really helped. Both of these teams, they're like, one is like 10 developers, the other is like 15. They are working completely remotely, and this means that their pool of developers they can recruit from is global, right? So this US-based team, they have like again 10, 15 developers. One is in Canada, one in the UK, one in Utah, one in New York. So unlike here where all these startups are fighting on the same pool, 1,000 developers living in Tel Aviv or 10,000, whatever, they have, they can come to Utah, not so many startup companies, it's okay. You do have some, computer graduate and some people who work in large companies, they want to work in a startup, and that's a good solution, right? Obviously, it's not sitting in the office each day seeing each other, but
it's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off, but it's doable. I'm seeing it happening for like a year for one of the divisions there, and it's working. They develop a product, it's production, it's running, and it's all, they're meeting once a month in the Sharon and so on. That's it. So there are solutions. You have to, if I would start something now, I would maybe consider this.
To be very creative.
Yep, definitely. But that's what we're all about, right?
Right.
I think that definitely. I think that the other advantages to the way that you work, it requires top-notch communication from everybody. When you hone that skill, that makes your team effective. That's huge. And if you do that, if you go global from day one, you get a very effective communication skills. That's big. And communication is not just this conversation. It's just how you write tickets, how you do feedback sessions, how you get, how you do your retrospective to understand what you did, that was better and what's worse. Everything about it, when you come up with that kind of thinking of we have to work remote, that's baked into your DNA. That's baked on a lot of things, and you can mitigate not feeling each other. That's there are solution for that. Once every year, go on a week resort. That's still cheaper than getting an office. So there are ways to handle that, and we have partially implemented something similar. We have two amazing developers in Kiev, in Ukraine, and we talked about this before. And we wanted this from the start so that we can hone our communication skills. We'll have effective product development lifecycle. We have good tickets. We have amazing feedback sessions. That was a part of the thinking, definitely.
Right. Now, this is a question that I wasn't expecting to ask because something happened, and I have to get your comment about that. A Series A funding round by an Israeli company, which exceeded $500 million. Now we had a meetup, our last meetup. Unfortunately, the meetup of May got canceled because of the security issues. But they were sitting in your spot, were sitting two investors, and they were trying to tell us what's going on. Now, I don't think they even expected that.
Yeah.
Oh, Miki Budai?
No, not Ricky Buddha.
No, he expected that.
I hope that he expected that,
Yes,
right?
expected
But
that.
the investors that were sitting here, I can't see them expecting any of that. But what is going on? Seriously. And you obviously have been to so many investors meetings, right? This is becoming ridiculous.
So, that's a very, very unique situation. Look,
Yeah.
Mickey is actually one of my investors. Transmit as a company is one of my investors, and I
Right.
love them dearly. They're amazing.
Now you're gonna get more money.
And-
Good for you.
That's definitely. And Transmit was founded with their personal money. Mickey's and Rakesh's money from their own pocket. They've built it. They took amazing risk on themselves, and they've built a company that is not just growing in the amount of people. It is, it's already producing, amazing revenue. They are making more than they're burning. That's amazing for a startup, for a young startup, for sure. That's worth a lot of money. So if you consider that, they've started with $40 million from their own pockets, calling that a round A, that's amazing, but that's just the word.
I don't think that's the representative story.
Yes, it's definitely not.
But you are right. The market is crazy, and that's an extreme example.
Mhm.
Veteran news, and it's investing $4 million of the private. That's like, but you do see it. And I agree that the situation is borderline crazy because I've seen like companies who are selling 1 million ARR, like 1 million annual recurring revenues, get a valuation of $500 million. That
1.7 billion, but actually.
all kinds. I've seen things that we say like, if you told me that like a few years ago, it's no way. Like there's no way that will happen. It's happening right now. That's frightening a bit because the thing is, people, if you have been around a bit, you understand that if such a small company with such a low ARR gets such a valuation, it's great for some aspects, right? The investor might already get some cash and everything is happy, and they can try to get developers for $100K a month, but but it means that the company so early on is set to a very specific path, right? It's the only way to win after you get this high valuation in such an early stage is to do a super amazing IPO a few years later, and that's only a very small portion of companies. That's a nature law. We do that, so it's not. I don't think it's great. Right? It's just what's happening is that, and I'm not a big economist, but interest rates all over the world are really, really low. No one is making money outside. Well, they are making money, but it's like everyone wants to get in, right? So everyone is pushing, and it's all the VCs are competing, all the growth funds are competing on the same, startup community. So I think it will go down a bit. I'm hoping. After we'll do a round, obviously. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, and it is a very good time to raise money, especially for seed round, because market is great. I know quite a few guys are getting really nice seed rounds just on a nice idea, and it's a great time to start a new business. I think that's the positive side.
So one last question before I give the audience the chance to ask you guys some. What tip can you give to those, especially most of the guys that are sitting here, early stage entrepreneurs? If there's one tip that you can give them, what would it be?
I think that my biggest one is treat every one of your employees as a partner. Make sure that you really understand that that their growth is on you. And you got 300 people almost, and I'm sure that it burns inside you that everybody got to be better every day, and that's a lot of what you invest your time and efforts in. Definitely for the companies that I was involved with, that was number one for us. Everything good comes out of that. If everybody's better, if everybody's has more trust inside the team, our customers are more appreciative of what we do. Our VCs as well. Everything falls into place when you consider everybody in the team as a partner, and you commit to making everybody better and expect the same from them.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. My tip would be not that far. So we do this orientation day for new employees. So each time we're like 2, 10, 15 employees, we do like training or orientation. And the first thing I'm telling each new group of employees I'm meeting is I have this picture of myself and my partner, like our CEO, and we're like a bit drunk in LA or something in some conference. I'm telling you, it's I'm telling you this, like I'm telling that straight in the face is like the first or second. I want to say, hey guys, if you're not having fun, like okay, wait a few weeks to learn that. But if after a few weeks you wake up and it's not fun for you to come to work and work with your colleagues and do what you do, then leave. Okay, I'm not saying it exactly like this, but and the reason I'm saying it is because I truly believe that one of the best ways to ensure you'll be successful is to have fun in what you do. If you, especially in the beginning, if you're an entrepreneur, like if it's not fun, and there's chances of you succeeding are dramatically lower. So that's find something that also makes you feel happy and it's fun to do on a daily basis. It's not like once a month. It has to be most of the fun. Otherwise, you lose. So yeah, that's my tip. Make sure it's fun. Then many other things will fall into place.
Okay, guys, the floor is yours. Whoever wants to ask entrepreneurs anything, then by all means.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Of course.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, for Yoni, you've talked about the demand and supply in the remote workforce and how you implement the strategy of employing remote workers in USA, if I'm not mistaken, right?
In this, right?
In USA, if I'm not
Both
mistaken.
in Israel and USA. We have like two small.
And they are all, but they are all from Israel and USA.
So one of them is like completely Israeli. So the manager is Israeli. He's living near Binyamin. He has like 10 employees. One in Kiryat Shmona, one in Haifa, one in Tel Aviv, and the other similar small venture is the manager is in the US, California, and he has like developers from the States.
But you don't have an employees like from India or Ukraine or something like that.
Actually, we do have, not in these ventures, we do have a few, not Ukraine, I think Belarus. Okay.
Through a third party or something like that?
It's all kinds of things there. Yeah, you have to work usually via some type of company, but yeah.
Okay, because I think Etai, you told that you have some development in Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to hear how you guys handle that, how you manage that, and your tips about how you would employ somebody that is not like in Israel or USA.
Good question.
Yeah.
I'll actually reiterate by saying advice. Make sure that they, again, partners for your own.
Okay.
That's super important. It comes up from the small things like making sure everybody gets equity. Dailies will not stop without everybody from the team on the Zoom call and giving everybody their space, making sure ownership is a part of it, trust is the basis. That there is zero difference between our developers in Israel or the guys in Ukraine. It's just 100% the same.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I will say it's a complicated topic. It's a long, can be a long discussion. But one thing I will say is that if you're in the same office, it's easier to cut corners, right? So you can skip dailies maybe. You can. It's fine. You're seeing the dude. You're working with him. Remote workers, even if you think everything is great, and we have a few examples, the team leader was just speaking with them once a week, once 2 weeks. The iteration is being done, things are done, and after 2 months they quit. no warnings, no nothing. You just send an email, guys, sorry. And that's because we tried, a few of them agreed to speak with us. Some say, no, we didn't feel any relationship with the company. You know, it was just feeling like super outsourced, dude, just getting emails, instructions, and
So it should be tight, really.
it must be. You have to make sure that someone is most of his day, like at least 2-3 hours a day, is dedicated to communicating with them. Zoom sessions, dailies, feedback. That's crucial.
Thank you.
What would be your tip for someone like us that we are only in the idea stage?
These days, an idea can take you a long way.
Yeah. And good presentation is $6 million pre-seed. That's
Yeah.
A good presentation?
So
sometimes, yeah.
For
again,
you.
I'm seeing
For you.
Even
so,
before that.
like these communities, Startup Grind, and many similar communities now offer great help for young entrepreneurs with just an idea to help you build the pitch. I think the great news is that the market today, and that's why I'm saying that assuming your idea is interesting and it's good, right? If you get help from, guys here, whatever, we'd love to help as well. There is not so bad chance that you can get in the door and actually be heard and even get an investment, if that's what you're looking for.
An investment in the idea stage before the actual...
No product. These I've seen. Like yesterday, a friend told me just got a seed round. Again, it's not happening all the time, right? But he's like, $3 million just for a good idea, right? No, even before proof of concept, it's happening. It's happening. It's crazy.
Is the
That's
second
not
timer?
bad.
There is much more money than good ideas now in the market.
Yeah. But again, obviously they will do their diligence and whatnot. But it's
But is he probably second timer, right?
Nope.
No?
Not that
First timer?
specific example, no. Obviously, the second timer is easier. And again, I'm saying seed round $3 million, $6 million. That's not the only option. You have angels and accelerators, which is maybe even a better option for just the idea phase. You can get 100K. Okay, whatever. All the Microsoft accelerators, there are so many of them. They're looking for someone bright with a good idea. They will invest $50,000, $100,000, so you can start, bring in 1-2 developers, do something for a few months, build a POC, and if it makes sense, you can move forward. So it's not just either nothing or a few $1 million. There are many things these days. The market is super ready for this. Accelerator, these communities are probably the best place for the initial phase.
Do you think it's a good idea if you raise a pre-seed of like 300K to bring a developer?
If you can't develop
Because
yourself,
you can guarantee you can guarantee him at least 2 years of employment. So how do you do this?
I think it depends on the idea, depends on the rest of the team. There are so many variables there. If I take what you just said, it's obviously never just the presentation. It's the presentation and the team behind that. So you have to take everything into consideration. Sometimes using the 300K to get 1 or 2 or 3 developers just to make sure that you got something, that's the best way of action. Sometimes you just want to get a mock-up, get a really fresh and nice UX, and start getting to potential customers or design partners. There are as many possibilities as there are money. That's more than we have ideas right now. But you have to consider everything in there.
Cool.
One last question, guys.
How do you deal with the secrecy part?
There's so much secrecy there, but
No,
can
you have an idea, and you are not the expert of how to make it.
Yeah.
You just have the idea. Now, once you said your idea out loud, anyone can now start doing it
yeah,
himself.
but again, the market is very trained for this. You have NDAs. You're familiar with the term, right? So again, it's not a foolproof insurance that no one will steal your idea. But what I found is that a good idea is great, okay? But and you can tell it, you can shout it here right now. But if you're the one believing in it, probably you're the only one who's going to spend time and try to make it out. So shout it now. We over here. No, I'm kidding.
I don't want to shout it because Tal is
Tal-
never signing secrecy.
I told her that I want to help everybody. So if because of her I can't help everybody,
Yeah.
I'm not signing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too worried about that, seriously.
You wouldn't be.
No.
There,
Okay.
I think that there is one suggestion, we haven't talked about it, but I think that when you're building something, you should be, or at least one of the people from the team should be an expert in that subject. It usually gets you to, to a deep understanding of the pain points in there, and obviously how to solve them. If you're not experts in that, maybe get a third co-founder, get somebody that is, build the team around that, make sure that, when you're looking at the bag of skills and everything that you can bring together as a team, make sure you handle everything from sales, marketing, development as well, subject matter expert, all of it. You have to make sure that you are complete. I think that's the point where you can go and really impress an investor, whether it's an angel or a VC or FFF, family, friends, and fools. Yeah, but that's where you're gonna get it when you present something that it's complete. When it's not complete, it's usually very easy to spot and for people to back off.
Okay.
Awesome. So guys, that's a wrap.